All right. There he is, locked and loaded and ready to go. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe. Joe, you doing good? You feeling good?
Doing well. Looking forward to traveling to New York with my wife and daughter, and we'll have Thanksgiving with family.
Good, man. Yeah, I know that's old stomping grounds for you, so that's good stuff. Um, what'd you think of Mike effing McDaniel yesterday on Hard Knocks? Because you don't get all those F bombs in the press conferences.
Yeah, that might have been the most surprising thing, even though we shouldn't be surprised in general that coaches curse. Of course, they all curse, almost all of them anyway. There weren't a lot of surprises in the show. I thought it was fine. I feel like maybe if there's a huge surprise, then we're not doing our job. There shouldn't be huge surprises.
No, you're a thousand. It wasn't like the greatest episode of Hard Knocks or anything like that. It was a decent episode and all of that. But it was fun to watch how McDaniel is just throwing those f bombs, all over the place. I one of the things that I thought was really cool is the weekly dinner that the offensive linemen have, and I think that's actually a fantastic bonding thing for them to do that. That's a great way to build camaraderie. I thought that was a really cool moment, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw last year. I was the first person to write a story about that.
Yep.
I was talking to Austin Jackson and Robert Hunt about the offensive line coaches, and Matt Applebaum was the offensive line coach at the time. And they basically told us, yeah, like Tehran is kind of our coach. And I was like, really? That's really interesting. And they were like, yeah, in fact, he has us over to his house for dinner many weeks, and then we go out to dinner. And you saw that last night. You saw how Tehran is kind of like the dad of the group.
Of course.
And yeah, so it was cool to see.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. The Campanelli stuff, you've
Well,
been
it's
at
good for
this.
camp. He'll
It's
have a chance to be a college head coach. Maybe that video helps him.
yeah, that's great, but to me, it's like I that didn't do anything for me
Yeah,
actually.
but some college AD is going to see that. I'm not saying it's a college thing. I'm just saying that
Right.
it would make sense for him to go from linebackers coach in the NFL to head coach somewhere in the Northeast,
If that's what
New York, New
he,
Jersey, Connecticut. Yeah, I mean, or
yeah.
eventually, obviously, you could be a coordinator in the NFL too.
Right. Yeah. It's just to me that stuff because I had fans come out. Oh, that was awesome to say. I'm like, brother, I've seen
Yeah,
that rah speech a
and
thousand
some of the
times.
players will shake their heads a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I did kind of get a little motivated personally. I did.
I
I understood the concept. The concept is, I was thinking about how Christian Wilkins kind of plays the game that way. You saw him run 30 or 40 yards down the field to make a tackle in the last game.
47 yards downfield. I counted it.
And he
47
yeah,
yards.
the way he plays, and he plays like 95% of snaps, which is crazy for a man of his size.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as though someone in his family is in danger. And if I was playing football, I would like that approach. I think that would be a cool thing to have in your mind. You kind of have to go to a different place, as Jalen Phillips explains, especially in the fourth quarter when you're tired. He and Chubb and Wilkins. That's one thing the Dolphins have. He, Chubb, and Wilkins in particular, and Sealer. Those guys play with a lot of relentlessness,
Yes.
including deep into the game.
Yeah.
And that's an endearing quality. You don't want lazy guys
I'll tell
on your defense.
I'll tell you another thing that I'm impressed with, that I like. Not impressed because I kind of expected it from him. And I don't expect this from him. Lately, Tua's been turning over the ball way too much. He has to limit those turnovers big time. But I love that he was hard on himself this week in the press conference, and then he was hard on himself also there on Hard Knocks, telling the teammates, that it's his fault. And it is his fault, by the way. He is forcing lately too many interceptions. I don't like it personally, and he's better than that, and he better play better than that. To me, those are the kind of things that I'm impressed with. Accountability. I like that.
They came out in the second half in the last game and threw deep for Waddle. After the game, there were indications that it was a miscommunication, that when Tua was releasing the ball, he thought Waddle was going to do one thing and he did another. But then when you kind of watched the sideline replay last night, Tua kind of indicated that he made a bad throw.
That's right.
So which is it? Is it miscommunication or a bad
He made a
throw?
bad throw. No, he made a bad throw. Just like throwing to Waddle when he's covered by 3 effing guys.
He also,
That was
the
stupid.
Dolphins have been bad on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. He short-armed Alec Ingold, who was wide open.
Well, you should be running on 3rd and 4th and 1 and stop abandoning the run. That's on McDaniel too. You got to be better. You got to be more committed to the run. And I get your guards are out, but you got to find a way to convert some of those. And you can't put the pressure all in the passing game, which, by the way, hasn't been as sharp lately. So get back to relying. To me, that's one of the things that this passing game is missing. The dominant running game that you had early on in the season.
Jeff Wilson's going to play, and he's going to get some carries with Mostert a little banged up, Achane questionable. If Achane does play, maybe he has a limited rep situation. I agree with you. I'd like to see Jeff Wilson a little bit on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. These guys do the research. Those short passes, like the one to Tyreek down near the opponent's goal line in the last game, usually work. It was interesting, too, because Craycraft seemed to miss a block. And when McDaniel made the play call on Hard Knocks, he said, let's get a tight end. I thought he said, let's get a tight end in the game to throw a block for Tyreek. I don't know.
It was so odd, that play, because Craycraft was out of place, and then he had to go across to get in place to make the block, and he could not do it in time. So it was kind of I don't know if the spacing was right in that play. I'm not, these are the things that most of us aren't privy to. So we really don't know what went on, but the spacing in that play, if you go back and look at it, it was odd, Joe. It was
so, and Tyreek's hand was
Craycraft to make the play is the thing.
Tyreek's hand was hurting. I thought there was an indication that maybe Tyreek would be a decoy on the play.
Me too.
Yeah, so it's kind of like sometimes things don't necessarily line up perfectly. But
I'm really wondering, did he play Fortnite that night? Because he was really concerned about not being able to play Fortnite that night. And
Tyreek's funny.
Out of all things,
Sometimes it's hard to know if he's joking, but honestly, he's been really good to deal with. He's been good to deal with. Ramsey is fine. He's more bristly. Bristly, is that a word? He bristles more often.
Yeah, I think he's kind of short.
He's more prickly.
He's short, and I don't trust you media people. So here's my answer. That's it. He's that guy.
He always thinks we're coming at him with an angle when we're really not.
Right.
It could be just a very simple question.
He's the force field guy. You run into those players that have a force field on the entire time. And no matter what,
Javon Holland can be a little bit like that too. But I don't care. They're great players.
But Javon will use his intelligence and his smart assness at times. When somebody's trying to play him, he'll play you back a little bit too. I like that. He's smart. He's a really smart dude, bro. I like Javon Holland. I like how
he's a good player. Now let's get back to Tua for a second. Obviously he's had a great season.
Yeah, but
he was a little bit off.
I'm not happy lately. I'm not happy.
That's what I'm saying. He's been a little bit off. Maybe the bye week contributed a little bit to the rust. Now we got some challenges. All right, everyone thinks the Jets are going to lay down, right?
No.
And it's going to be hard for them to score points. But I wrote about in the Palm Beach Post the Jets defense. And here's some things that Tua has to go up against, right? A couple of corners who are really good in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. A powerful interior defensive lineman in Quinnen Williams, who's going to be lined up over a banged-up Lester Cotton in all likelihood in Friday's game. A really good linebacker in Quincy Williams, Quinnen's brother, who causes problems in the run game. So short week, cold weather, right? It's going to be possibly 44 degrees at kickoff. Tough defense. Late season. This is, listen, the Jets, Washington, Baltimore.
Play smart, dude. Stop turning over the goddamn ball. Stop having stupid mistakes. Connor Williams cannot have a pre-snap penalty like he had. Stop doing the things that allow the Carolina Panthers to take a 14-0 lead, that allow the Raiders to be in the game. You're playing the same kind of team. They have an offense that will make no impact now. The Dolphin defense has now taken another step with Jalen Ramsey. And if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to score on this defense anymore. So really, the pressure is all on the offense. Dude, just take care of the football and you'll win the game because you'll score enough points. Maybe you won't score a lot because you're playing a great defense, but if you start turning over the ball, that's when you give life to these deadbeat teams. And that's what the Jets are. They're a deadbeat team with a great defense, but if you don't give them any turnovers, the game shouldn't be a problem, in other words. Don't you agree?
Now, listen, this game opened as a 7-point spread. It quickly moved to 10, in part because the Jets are playing a quarterback who is a journeyman who hasn't done anything in the NFL.
He's
Some
terrible.
kid from UConn in Middletown, Connecticut.
Well, I've watched Boyle play. I've watched him play with the Lions. He's bad, dude. Bad.
But here's the thing. Would it shock you if this was 13-9, 16-9,
No.
13-10 in the fourth quarter, right? So this could be a little bit of a tricky game. And I don't know. So, something weird about this, right? Amazon Prime, Black Friday. By the way, I want to tell your audience members something.
Wait a minute, Joe. Before you go to the special, would it be a tricky game if you don't turn over the ball? If you don't make the stupid mistakes?
Well, the Jets are really good at pass defense.
I get that.
But so listen, I'm making the point. You want to run the ball, right? But Raheem Mostert's banged up. Devon Achane's banged up. So what do? You give Jeff Wilson 20 carries? You probably don't have Robert Hunt. So it's a little tricky. It's not going to be easy for the Dolphins to move the ball.
Of course not.
And the guy stripped the ball from Tua. All right, it was a good play by the guy who stripped the ball from Tua. Though it wasn't necessarily like careless handling of the football into a fumble.
You talk about the dive? This past
week? You want him to slide, but he's trying to make the first down.
Brother, at the end of a game, the game is on the line, the playoffs or the Super Bowl, you dive. In the early part of a game against a crappy-ass team that you could score more points, you slide. You make the first down, fine. But you don't dive because you could have head trauma, you can jam your shoulder, you can jam your elbow, your wrist, or you fumble. You slide, there's a great chance you'll never get injured by sliding. There's a great chance you won't fumble because they know they really can't touch you at that moment. And if you look at the play over again, he still gets the first down if he slides, to be quite honest.
Probably right.
But if he doesn't get the first down, I can live with it. That's the new theme. Brother, I need you to live for the next play. Don't start doing stupid things that can take you out for weeks. And diving is easily a very injury type of play by Tua. That was a dumb play by Tua. And I'm Mr. Tua, okay? I'm Mr. Tua. But I'm the first guy to be objective about it and say, you're turning over the ball too much. And you cannot dive, bro. You got to slide. You dive if it's the Super Bowl. You dive if it's the playoffs. You dive if the game is on the line. None of that was happening. You don't dive then. I'm sorry. That's that one.
7 games left. Hey, guys, chance to be MVP. Go out and win against good defenses. Go out and win against good teams. Huge opportunities. At Baltimore is a massive game late in the season. It's going to be chilly. I remember he said he went actually to Maryland, ironically, to train with his brother in the cold weather. So does this Dolphins offense travel into the cold on the road? There's a combination of factors here, too. The noise. Dolphins have not been good with the silent count in loud environments on the road. Jets fans will show up, even though they stink. Jets fans will show up. Now, listen, what percentage of your audience do you think has Amazon Prime? Probably like 75%, right?
I have no idea, bro.
You have Amazon Prime, right?
I've had Amazon Prime for 15 years.
Here's the thing. In Palm Beach County, you're not going to get this game on local broadcast. So if you're, for some reason, not in Broward or Dade and you don't have access to the local broadcast, I found out that you don't even need Amazon Prime. All you need is an Amazon account. Probably 90% of people households in America have Amazon accounts, right? So
Yeah.
just log on to Amazon on your iPhone or iPad on Friday, or put the Amazon Prime app on your TV. And even if you don't pay for it, you can still watch the game. Just want to spread the word on that.
I just thought about it. I've had
Yeah.
Amazon Prime over 20 years because I've been in my current
20
house,
years.
but I've been in my current house like 18 years, and I'm pretty sure I remember having it in the other house. So it's been over 20 years that I've had Amazon. It's the best deal in
Oh
the
yeah.
world.
Of course, you get the
Greatest.
television. Yeah,
You
you
get
get the
television, you
television.
get rate.
And
Yeah.
I order something. It's
of
at
all,
my house in 3 hours.
first of all, I only ordered it from the get-go because of Prime. And just that alone, saving on the shipping alone would pay off for itself every year. Then they started adding all the other stuff they've added now, music and movies and all that.
Right.
And it's just an absolute what you pay a year for it, it's a joke what you get in return, actually.
Now, some of the older folks are emailing me and they're saying, "Listen, I don't know how to work out this technology.
Yeah.
Do you have some concerns about how so much sports programming is going towards the streaming? Or, I mean, if you're a grandma or grandpa out there, you got to ask your kids for help, right? You just
I
got to
know.
ask them, listen,
You gotta
set me
ask.
up here.
Yeah, exactly. Because unfortunately, it's where we're going, dude. Whether it's digital platforms or digital currencies and crypto, everything will be tokenized. This is the direction that we're going in. And so, unfortunately, as you get older, you either adjust or you lose. You know what I mean? But everybody's going to, people will grow up this way. So it'll be easier for them to age in this way. But those that are already old, yeah, it's, people
Do you
my
remember?
People
Do you
my age
remember?
are terrified to talk about crypto, just like they're terrified about working an app. It's
Do you
amazing.
remember when we had VCRs and we would try to record an NFL game and we would set it up to record for 3 hours, and you would be watching the VCR tape when you get home from like your kid's party or something, and then
VCR
and then
or beta.
and then
Okay.
the last 3 minutes of the game like didn't record. There was nothing worse than
How
that.
about this? How about this? I got a better one for you. You set it up to record. You go out and there's an effing power surge in your house.
Oh wow.
And then it reset everything, and your
Oh,
little
reset.
VCR is just flashing, and it never recorded anything because it erased the memory of it. Because in those days, those things didn't have memories. So once it was restarted, everything got erased. So you set it to record, and it didn't record, and you got home, and you're like, "Oh crap!" Everything, the power surge reset. How about those days?
Back in 02 to 04, when I first covered the Dolphins, there was something called TiVo,
Oh
and you
yeah,
had to pay for the TiVo service to record things.
yep.
And I remember watching the football games. It was a big deal. I could like start and stop the play and go through. And that was kind of like 20 years before you could the NFL Game Pass. Everything old is new again. My 11-year-old daughter, saw a record player at a store, and she didn't know what it was. What does this do? How does it work? So I ordered a record player. I'm looking at it right here on my
That's
and
awesome.
a bunch of records. She's been playing records,
Yeah, I
and
mean, what are you gonna do? Hey,
it's got that like a crackle and crisp pop. It's a
right.
unique thing, isn't it? Do you ever play records? Do you have vinyl?
Yeah, I still I have my Technique 1200 tables, man. Of course, yes. I have two of them, and I have all my records and all that good stuff. Yeah, I still have it, bro. I mean, I'm old, so of course I'm gonna have that stuff. One more thing before I let you go. One thing that I looks like I'm gonna be wrong about. And I thought because they were gonna run the ball so much this year, it was all fun when he said 2,000 yards. But it looks like Tyreek Hill is going to get 2,000 yards because the running game is also not as dominant as it was early on in the season, as we were just talking about it. And so it looks like you're going to be writing an article about the first ever 2,000-yard wide receiver in an NFL season.
That's great, and kudos to Tyreek. Maybe he finishes in the top 3 in the MVP voting. I do want to note that I think Jalen Waddle has been a little underutilized,
Yeah.
and I get it. You traded a lot for Tyreek. You paid Tyreek a lot. He's the best receiver in the game. He's the most dangerous receiver in the game. But Jalen Waddle is really good too. And you saw when Hill was out, Waddle kind of stepped up his game. So I don't know. What do you think about maybe spreading it around just a little bit more and not having that focus on the 2,000 yards so much?
I have no problem with that. The only problem I have is Waddle. I need you to catch the ball a little bit more
Yeah.
consistently.
There's some drops. I think Hill leads the NFL in drops, though. So everybody has drops. Everybody has drops.
But you throw a hell of a lot more
A
to
lot of
Tyreek
targets.
Hill. And so that's why I can understand why he has the drops. But you just said Waddle is underutilized, yet he still drops the ball too much. And so that's one thing that I would like to change. I thought the Craycraft thing was going to bring the balance they kind of needed because they were kind of figuring out who's the number 3. And like in the Cedric Wilson play where he screwed up and went upfield and it was a hot read and he didn't read it right, that's where Craycraft would have read it right and you would have maybe won that game that day. I think you do need balance. I think you do need to learn to spread it out. But what you also need, and here it goes again, I'm going to be fair. I love Tua. I believe in Tua. I've always felt he's a franchise stud player. But lately he has been turning over the ball, and at times he forces it to Tyreek. And as I told you earlier in this interview, he forced one into Waddle into triple coverage. Tua himself has to be a little bit more disciplined in not forcing the ball in certain situations, specifically to Tyreek and sometimes to Waddle. Please find the
I think he's
other.
going to play smartly on Friday. He understands the type of defense that he's facing. Before we go and read my articles in the Palm Beach Post, I have 2 good ones up there now. One about the Jets defense and one about Jalen Ramsey and the aura and swag that he has brought. He's sort of like the Tyreek Hill of the Dolphins defense. I want to do a real quick rapid fire, right? Don't overthink this. I'm just going to say this to you real quick and you give me your answer. One of these 3 walks away unsigned. Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson. Who are you letting go?
Connor Williams.
Wow, very interesting. Because center is such an important position, and he's number 1 rated by Pro Football Focus. But I know you're worried about you think he can be replaced, and you're worried about the snaps. Okay, one more. At some point, you have to let one of these 3 go: Christian Wilkins, Javon Holland, Christian Wilkins, Javon. All right. So let's say Wilkins goes. You can only keep Javon Holland or Jalen Waddle.
They're keeping both.
Okay.
But
if you had to let one walk.
Oh, you always let the safety go over a receiver, bro. Yeah,
Wow.
No, you can find safeties. You cannot number 1 wide receivers are more important in the league of scoring offenses.
Holland is more likely to be overpaid. Someone would overpay him. I agree.
And I from last time I checked, the guy that drafts found Minka and Holland. So maybe he knows something about safeties. That's what I'm going to say.
And Flores was involved in both of those decisions, to be fair. And Boyer. Flores and Boyer. Hey, listen, we got to give those 2 guys credit. They know defensive backs. Flores and Boyer, no defensive backs.
Well, I'm going to go with the guy that's been here that got X and all the other guys. And then while they're gone, he'll go. And if Cam Smith turns into that, those other 2 guys aren't here. So I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to lean the other way. I'm going to lean to Reggie McKenzie and Marvin Allen and Chris Greer.
90% chance Ogba's gone next year. What's the percentage chance X is not on the team?
He's done
over under 75.
2 years ago, I told you. 2 years ago, I told you Byron Jones will be cut last offseason.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I told you that X will be cut 2 years.
And X is playing well.
And X is playing well, but you can't keep everybody.
Yeah, I know.
So next year, they won't pay Ogba. That'll be off. They won't pay X. That'll be off salary. They won't play Christian Wilkins. Will not be paid next year. He'll be gone.
I forgot Phillips too. They got a lot of guys to pay. They got to pay. Between Phillips, Waddle, and Holland, you probably lose 1. And then between the 3 linemen, you probably lose 1.
You pay tackles left. You pay tackles, shutdown corners, number 1 wide receivers, pass rushers, and QBs.
Yeah.
After that,
so that would tell you no on Robert Hunt though, unless he takes the hometown discount.
You could, or you say, let's keep punt. Let's go find another center, and then they have all their picks this year. So they're going to have a chance at getting a center in that first or second rounds now. And that's where the centers go, the good centers and there's only usually a couple in the draft. There's never really a ton. But they will have an opportunity in that first, second round. I bet you they go center. There's no doubt in my mind that they go center. I don't think they let Robert Hunt go, bro. He is such an athletic guard. And in this system, he is priceless, bro.
He's really good. Last thing, is the Fort Lauderdale Airport parking garages, are they all going to be full today when I get there? Wednesday, Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, Joe. Oh, hell yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go to the airport now. I'm going to go to the airport.
I want to go to those park and flies instead.
Okay.
Save money because those bastards will charge you more now on this weekend. And you park on the ones that are right next to the airport, and they shuttle you in, and you save yourself some money, doggy. Even though we know that the Palm Beach Post is going to pay for it, but still.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Be safe in your travels.
Take care. See you, bud.
You got it. Follow him on Twitter at Schad Joe, and of course, reach out to our friends at Essential Moving Experts, 305-602-8369. Call my guy Sean Williams.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.